I have the worst parents in the world. Just imagine. You struggle and fight for everything you have, and when you finally manage to carve out your own space, your family simply wants to give everything to your brother, everything that was so hard for you to achieve. And worst of all, they kicked me out of their house, saying there was no space for me. Now they think I'm going to give up my house for them because of Dan. This story just keeps getting worse, and I'm going to tell it. I warn everyone this will be very long, so long that I will divide it into parts and include a summary in each one. I don't care who believes it or not. This story is so crazy that I don't blame anyone who thinks it's a lie. I won't argue about it, but this really happened to me. I also don't care if someone in my family reads this. I won't sugarcoat anything. But I also won't include details about people who aren't part of the situation. I'm a single man in my 30s, and I have a 29-year-old brother who already has 4 children. He had the first one when he was 22, the second the following year, the third 2 years later, and the fourth was born just a few months ago. His wife, my sister-in-law, and I have never gotten along. She loves putting me down, always acting as if she's superior. On top of that, she's become a queen of drama and victimhood. If I defend myself in any way, she immediately starts crying, creating a very convincing scene to gain sympathy from almost everyone. My parents and my brother love her, even though they know exactly what she's like. They just don't deal with it. I'll admit she's very attractive, but she's so insufferable that I could never feel attracted to her. She refuses to get any kind of job, even though she has a college degree, and my mom volunteers to help with the kids all day. So they depend financially only on my brother. This also means that they can't afford to live anywhere else but at my parents' house. The lack of privacy is a serious problem, with everyone living together in a 3-bedroom house built in the 1960s when I was a child. It became clear that my brother was the favorite of my parents. We have a 3-year age difference, but he developed a superiority complex because whenever I reacted to his provocations, I was the one who was severely punished. My parents clearly favored him, and he always got the largest share of everything. This only changed when someone from outside the family noticed and commented on it. That's when my parents decided to move to a city about 150 kilometers away from our family, so we only saw our relatives on holidays. My brother even physically assaulted me a few times and constantly flirted with my first girlfriend, to the point where she broke up with me. He also loved to laugh at anything bad that happened to me, and my parents would only tell me to toughen up whenever I complained. I received the same treatment as him, only when my parents wanted to keep up appearances. I admit it was quite funny to see their expression when they had to treat me the same as him during birthdays and Christmas, because of the other relatives who were very gossipy and loved drama to maintain appearances. My parents even threatened to take everything I had if I didn't shut up. That's why they were so happy when I turned 18 and left the house, as they no longer had to support me. I hadn't even finished high school when I left, but sleeping on my friends' sofas was much better than living with them. Since then, I've kept little contact with them, and they didn't even show up to my graduation. At the start of the pandemic, I lost my job and couldn't renew the lease on my apartment because my roommate also lost his job, and we couldn't afford the place just with the unemployment benefits. The apartment was a bit expensive. But I liked living well until I realized I needed to have some savings for emergencies. I had a truck, so I ended up finding a trailer for $1,000 in good condition and installed it on the truck to live there temporarily. But that time stretched out longer than I expected. I thought about parking the trailer at my parents' house, where my brother and his family still live. But when I asked to stay there, my parents said it was already full and they didn't want me there. They also said they would only allow me to park it there if I paid almost the equivalent of rent. That was too much, since I was unemployed and trying to save as much as possible. My parents called the trailer an eyesore and told me to leave because we couldn't come to an agreement. My sister-in-law found it hilarious that I was living in a trailer, and my brother joined her in mocking me, calling me a homeless bum. I parked my truck and trailer in a store parking lot to sleep on the first night because I had no other place to go. I was terrified at the thought that someone might try to break in. Of course, I didn't sleep well that night. There was nowhere else to go, as any relatives with a house lived far away, and all of my friends lived in apartments. I was also very attached to my area, so I didn't want to leave. I redirected my mail to a friend's apartment, since that was the only way I could receive it. Finding a stable place to park was quite difficult. I went out looking for a job similar to the one I had before, and lived a nomadic life in my trailer. For several months, I dealt with many situations, from dealing with homeless people and drug users to people demanding that I leave because my trailer was ugly. One time, someone who told me to leave said they were part of a homeowners association. I wasn't even parked on a street with houses, and when I asked which association they belonged to, the person became extremely aggressive and threatened me. In any case, I moved the trailer just to avoid problems. To have a constant supply of electricity, I learned to use a long extension cord to plug it in wherever possible and charge the batteries of my trailer. This meant connecting it to an external outlet of a building when parking on the street. I know it's something wrong to do, but I needed to keep my batteries charged so the fridge would keep working. I had a small solar charger for my phone, but nothing beats a generator. Generators are noisy and require fuel, so I did what I had to do. After months living like this, I finally got a new job. I had to move to a neighboring city to find a job that wasn't in retail. I worked in sales while I was in college and promised myself I would never do that again, though I was close to breaking that promise. I was still receiving unemployment benefits, but I didn't have a stable place to live while I was receiving them, and I didn't want to be without a job when they ran out. Additionally, I was bored, as my only activities were reading, watching movies on a small portable DVD player, using my phone or laptop, and noting down places where I could park and which public restrooms were available. At times, I envied the fact that the Japanese have high-quality public restrooms. We really need more places like that around here. When I finally got a new job, I practically lived in the back of the building, in old employee parking spaces near the warehouse that no one used anymore, because they were way in the back and almost forgotten. My boss, the owner of the company, liked this arrangement because I was always available to cover any shift, as long as I had slept a bit. He even let me take the trailer off the truck and park it in one of the spaces so I could drive without it. I'm not sure if that was legal, but no one bothered us during the time I lived there, and I didn't have to deal with many intruders. There were a few, but the security guards quickly kicked them out. I was practically on call all the time and worked almost every day of the week. My boss let me connect the trailer to the building for electricity and water, and I paid a small amount of rent by working for free on Sundays when no one was in the office except the janitor and the security guard. I also took showers at a friend's apartment or at my local gym since the trailer didn't have a shower, just a portable toilet. I didn't want to fill it because emptying it was an unpleasant task, so I used other bathrooms whenever I could. I had a key to the warehouse and could go in to use the bathroom whenever I needed. I got to know the night security guard by name, and he ended up becoming one of my closest friends. Heating the trailer in the winter was easy with a small electric heater, but summers were far from pleasant. The trailer didn't have air conditioning, so I had to get a used portable air conditioner just to make the environment bearable. I made a lot of extra money and learned new skills from other employees. Eventually, in the middle of that year, I got a promotion at the company as a supervisor and started earning a better salary than my previous job. It was then that I decided I wanted a house. The shock of losing my apartment made me realize I needed something more stable in the long run. I searched for something near my work, and just 3 kilometers away, I found a 3-bedroom prefab house on a small lot. I was able to buy it for $110,000 below the asking price. I used almost all of my savings for the down payment and was approved for a mortgage. Finally, I didn't have to live in a trailer anymore. There was enough space to park my truck behind the house, take the trailer off, and set it up in the backyard. I placed it there as a small annex in case I ever wanted to use it again once I was fully settled in the house. I was naive enough to show off on Facebook. This is the first part of Dan's story. For the second part, follow our channel and it will be added soon. Don't miss it. These were the craziest stories from Reddit. If you enjoyed them, leave a like, subscribe, and comment on your favorite or share your own. Who knows, it might appear in the next video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.